thank you very much to have answered the invitation. Thank you all the students from ECA and VIA Lab course for having organized all these invitation works and solving technical situations as well. So you are the fourth guest about a series of talks related to problematics of video games in the field, in different cultural fields. We had the chance to have Andres from Game Dev Estonia, then Samuel with his unemployment simulator, and Marco Laimre, Reimo, and as a fourth guest, Paul, that you are head of Kunstihone, and you're from, it's interesting as you are from theater, can I say living art? Performing art, sorry. Mm-hmm. We had the chance to exchange a bit about some elements of your research about virtual exhibitions, I would say like gamifications of exhibition. It's not clear yet, but maybe you would...
it's a work in progress, yes.
Yes, so that's the reason of this invitation. And we are very glad to have you. Maybe if you want to complete with elements from what I just said, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Camille, yes, I had a chat with Camille and I was telling him about an idea how I want to turn virtual exhibitions into gaming platforms. And that's also something that I can tell you today a bit, but a bit later. It all started with Tallinn Art Hall having a desperate need to show the works that we create to larger audiences. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time on creating huge exhibitions. We do in our main hall usually 3 or 4, occasionally on some years 5 exhibitions. We have 20 people working to make that happen. And we all thought it's a huge waste that everybody gets to see those exhibitions only for 2 months, 2.5 months, something like that. So there was a need to figure out how to actually transform or translate those exhibitions into virtual worlds. All the services that were on offer and still are on offer, they look like video games. In a sense, I believe it's awful. An art exhibition, in my mind, and also my colleagues think so, is something that you want to experience firsthand. You want to go to it's part of experiencing art, is that you actually go to the venue and you actually experienced how the curator and the artists have wanted you to see it. There's always a story to tell, at least in our house, the curator and the artists, they always figure out the exact path, which way they want you to go, in which order they want you to see the artwork. Of course, you can disrupt it, you can walk the other way around, but that's your choice. You still get a spatial experience in the actual venue. So, but if you take all the like virtual platforms that are offered as a service, they work completely differently. Most of them are these like spinning rooms where you can click wherever you want and then go where you want. They simply put one camera in the room, do a 360-degree scan, and then you are in a space that doesn't show any of the artwork as they are actually made. It distorts them all. the aesthetics of that is very familiar to video games. It's wide angle. Distorted sides. It's not what the human eye actually sees in any space. So when we started with our virtual exhibition platform at Tallinn Art Hall, the main goal was to keep the experience as similar as what the human eye actually sees. So if you have, I don't know if you're studying cinematography or not, do you have lectures about lenses? But it's 50mm lens is the one that is closest to the perception of the human eye. It has the minimal distortion. If you film something with a 50mm lens, then the proportions of the human, the proportions of the room, they stay almost the same. If you're using a narrower lens, it gets distorted. If it goes wider, it gets distorted. And the human eye always moves in a specific way. When we go to an art exhibition, we don't look things like that. Our eyes don't wander around. Our eyes firstly go towards one point. Hopefully it's an artwork if you go to an exhibition, and then you start usually panning with your eyes. And the pans you make in an art exhibition with your eyes, next time you go there, think about it. They are quite slow and quite subtle. In an art exhibition, you twist your head rapidly only if something attracts you with a noise, with a flash, something like that. Otherwise, you move yourself quite fluently. So in the development of the virtual exhibition platform, the main person involved in the work was actually a film cinematographer, Ellen Lottman from the Baltic Film and Media School. And she figured out a completely balanced way of filming art exhibitions. So all the exhibitions that we now record, they're videos, they're series of videos, and there's always a predetermined map how you can move through those videos. You cannot go randomly. I want to go that way, I want to go that way. The curator, together with the cinematographer, determines which way you actually go. It's all filmed almost from the eye level. It's all filmed with the 50mm lens. It's only small pans or slow movements on rails. It takes insanely long time to film our virtual exhibitions. Depending on the exhibition, some are doable in 1 day, some take 2 days, some have taken even 3 days simply to film the exhibition. And mostly it's because of the technical setup. But as we are doing it for the next 100 years to have an archive of all the exhibitions, so when a researcher after, let's say, 50 years wants to re-experience the exhibition, then they can simply go to virtualexhibition.eu and open any of the exhibitions that we have recorded. So you will get a better idea how it actually looks like. So those of you who actually have screens, go to virtualexhibition.eu. And if you scroll down a bit, otherwise I thought I will show it on the screen, take the first one, which is Orchid Delirium, is the last, or the previous Estonian pavilion in Venice that we also recorded with our technology and our platform. And open that. Yeah, it's way better with sound. Did any of you go to Venice to see the Estonian pavilion live? I see at least one. You went. Okay. So you can have the comparison if this one feels or resembles you the thing that you saw actually in Venice. And if you start clicking on those small dots, then on the first screen we are giving the audience away like basically two options. I think the connection here is slow.
Hi, you can enter around the corner.
So all those slow movements and the slow pans, they're showing you exactly the same path. You're hearing the same noises that you would. Usually it doesn't load so slowly that it does here. Yep. So basically what you're seeing is a virtual exhibition where we have been trying to destroy all the things related to virtuality. We want it to look as like analog or as real as possible. It's slow, doesn't have any action elements. It is simply you walking through the exhibition in a predetermined path. But now, as the next level, what we are working with, this one is mostly for archive purposes. You can see the exhibition, you can read about the artwork. You must be still an art enthusiast to go through it and to watch it, to enjoy it. If you are new to contemporary art, most likely you will die of boredom after the first 2 minutes. You don't want to look at it. It doesn't matter how good is the exhibition. You don't care because it's if you don't have experience with contemporary art, then it's not enough to have you hooked with contemporary art. At Tallinn Art Hall, we do a lot of educational programs. We work with small kids, and the picture that we actually see from the average Estonian schools is quite awful. Like the kids that come in from their homes, very few know something about contemporary art. The parents most likely simply don't take them to art exhibitions, or if they do, then they go to some let's say not so good contemporary art exhibitions, but something way more conservative. But our mission is to bring people closer to contemporary art. But all the kids that we have coming in, they love their phones, they love all the devices that they have with them. We have one really good example from a few weeks ago when we had a bus full of kids coming in from Kohtla-Järve, so they had a long drive, almost like 2.5 hours, something like that. 35 kids, they all jumped in, and the first thing they did, they plugged out all the TVs, all the projectors we had actually showing the exhibitions because they needed to charge their phones. So basically the exhibition shut down because the kids had more important things to do on the exhibition. So before we could start the tour, it took some time to explain to kids, like, come on, off with the phones, and we put the screens and projectors. Yep, or we should install more outlets for the kids. Yep. So, but it basically shows that, phones and laptops and whatever other devices are the ones we need to go through to get with the contemporary art to kids. And what we are now working on is to start building a new layer on top of the virtual exhibition platform. So let's give you an example. If you go inside this exhibition, in my mind, there's a huge amount of possibilities what kind of games could actually be played inside that room. if you open the Venice Biennale exhibition, I think it would be amazing to shoot at something inside that. It would be even greater to play a treasure hunt inside that. It could be a puzzle. So there are endless opportunities. What kind of games you could actually play inside of an art exhibition that is virtualized in a way that the human eye actually sees it. And so at the moment I'm collecting different partners from different European institutions that have similar virtual exhibition platforms. And what we will be doing is to, together with artists, curators and video game developers, we will actually build, even technically it's a layer. So when you go to an art exhibition, simply there will be a button, click it in, and you can have the option what kind of games I would like to play inside the virtual exhibition today. So from our perspective, it gives a huge boost, a trigger to attract new audiences and introduce to them very different contemporary art, because we will be adding new virtualized exhibitions every 2 or 3 months. But the games, they remain the same. But only the same screenplay, the same scenario will take place now in the same venue, but the art behind it has completely changed. From the gamer's perspective, I really hope that we will be able to develop scenarios that are connected with the art, so you can actually learn through the gaming, and hopefully the games will be also interesting to play. So that's like a short introduction, what we are working with, what I'm researching at the moment. And actually I think it should now continue more like a questions and answers, because there's not much I can tell about this as a lecture. If you have any ideas what kind of games would fit inside of a virtual exhibition, please let me know. I'm all ears. If it's a good idea, then we will definitely add it to our plans, because yeah, this is something I will be working with during the next year. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
When I went to school, I never had questions.
Ever thought of any like VR, or also like VR exhibitions as well, where you can walk through, look around, or?
We will definitely not have this system going into VR. We are showcasing on some of our exhibitions quite a lot of VR works, because there's so many artists working in VR. But if you, as I said before, we want to keep the experience as human as possible. If you go into VR, then we are again distorting the actual original artwork. And in my mind, that would need a special permission from the artist, because the audiences in VR, they don't see the work that the artist actually made. VR is a very limited technology. We cannot, we cannot tell the VR goggles to show only like a limited view. The sides distorted, that will do.
But what if this would be first for testing purposes built in VR to test the gamification aspects out?
Mm-hmm. Could be. But why do you think it would be good?
Because sometimes it's really expensive to go to the place and build something up just to test it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the same game mechanics could work in VR as well, and later on in like the real place.
Okay, so it could be simply cheaper.
Yes.
Okay, then I have to think about it.
Yes.
Because actually we have not tested this current platform with, we have not tested it with VR goggles. So I don't know how it will look. No.
I have a remark and a question, but I don't know which one first, but maybe the question. You mentioned predetermined path. Like, is it like a technical reason?
No.
Or no?
A predetermined path to go through an exhibition is a curatorial decision. At least in our house it works so that when a curator, together with the exhibition designer and with the artist, they always have a dream path, which way the visitor should visit the exhibition. For example, now we are in Lasnamäe in the pavilion. We even paint on the floor an arrow if you have to start from the left or you have to start from the right. And we have to keep that predetermined path also in the virtual reality. Otherwise, well, just to give you an example, the last exhibition we had was by Hanna Samason, and it was like a film or like a TV series. There were different episodes, 9 episodes. And if you start watching a TV series from the wrong end and start going backwards, you're pretty screwed. And we don't want that to happen also in the virtuality. That's why we're always having a predetermined path.
Would like to jump on that, but I think you mentioned VR before, but I think with the Video Game Museum, since few times we were thinking about how to have like a kind of augmented experience with the museum. Especially for schools or like public, that where it was very hard. So I'm not sure if it was about the interest, but like was more about like how to give to the audience, like to extend the informations, like how far, like okay, it's video game, but it's as well about history, and how like to invite the people to get a bit farther into it than just staying into the interactive part. So it's funny that we had like a kind of similar approach, but in the same time a reversed problem. We wanted less interactivity. Not really like this, but I like to present it like that. But and so I think the idea of augmented reality is an option maybe in the future, but maybe more accessible or more like that could function at least in the case of the idea of like in terms of gamification. So you have the archive of the exhibition, but as well there is the live experience of a current exhibition as well. And so I know that of course it's based on the technology which is already existing and based on, but when there was COVID, there was a virtual tour of an exhibition that was currently happening. So that was interesting aspect as well. So there is experimenting an exhibition that happened back in time, that you could again and again having this experience. But I think as well such perspective or technology could be used as well for like a upgoing exhibition. I don't know if it's a question.
Didn't sound like a question. No. But I can answer with a non-answer as well.
How it would look like.
Yes. In my mind, this what we are doing at the moment is in a sense augmented reality, but the reality is taken from the history. It doesn't exist at the moment. but the augmentation we are putting on a reality that existed a month ago. So in a sense, it is augmented reality. Real live augmented reality in our house would be quite impossible because it takes so long time to produce, and all our exhibitions are for 2 or 3 months, something like that. And all the exhibitions we do, we change the room completely. So we would be, if we would be doing that, we would be limiting our curators and artists very, very heavily.
Of course, yes.
But there's another thing that we just finished working with, together with Pompidou Center and the ZKM in Karlsruhe. For the past 2 years, we worked on a project called Beyond Matter. You know a lot about it. And one part of that project was making 3D models of past exhibitions. So there were 2 exhibitions, one from the 80s and the other one from the 90s, that took place. I think one was in Pompidou and the other was in ZKM or not. Don't remember. And they made the 3D models, so you can actually walk inside the exhibition. To my mind, it looked so strange. When on the other hand, I was looking at the actual photos that were made 20, 30 years ago, and then I went to walk in the 3D model of the same exhibitions where they had worked really hard. It looked like really, really good. I didn't sense that I was visiting an art exhibition. I sensed that I was playing a video game with absolutely no game elements. Simply like the most boring video game I have ever seen, where you can actually simply walk and do nothing. So after that, I was 100% convinced that this is not the way the digitalization or virtualization of exhibition should go. 3D does not work. It doesn't look like an art exhibition anymore. Yeah, those are online. You can go to beyondmatter.eu and you can have a look at those 3D things. I hope they are still there.
I have. Can I keep going with questions? Yes. So it makes me think about like previous experimentation that was made by Google. And remember, there was. I think they changed the name now. Now it was called before. I think it was called Art Project, and they made they made virtual tour of some like prestigious museums. There was the Tate Modern. There was I forgot. There was some like few museums. I think they are keep doing this project. So it's based on the Street View technology, but inside museum.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the experience from that time, because it's already like 15 years ago from what I remember when they launched it, so I forgot now like how it looks like, and I had like from the eyes of 15 years ago technology. Okay. So probably nowadays I'm not sure that it would be as impressive from the very first experience that I remember from it. It was very bad. I would say, as an art experience, like exhibition experience, was very bad how it was presented, and especially because there was only some choice of. That's why I was talking about the predetermined path, and only few probably they got some authorization from the museums that they could make like a high definition. Reproduction where you could zoom inside. So there was just a selection of works that were offered by the visitors virtually. Some works can be virtually be explored. Mm-hmm. But like compared to such, like previous experimentation, how technology was used to discovering exhibition, here we are talking about like. I would say AAA museums, but popular museums. But like in terms of this, like in compared to this experience, like how you would compare and the addition that such technology to visit virtual exhibition is giving, coming from virtualexhibitions.eu.
Okay, sorry, that was another non-question. let me think of an answer.
I can make
Yes.
it shorter. So, as Google developed similar
Yes,
technology
yes,
in
I
the
know
past,
that, yeah.
how you would compare what was developed in Estonia with
Okay.
virtual
Yeah,
exhibition?
the Google technology is it's very similar what real estate brokers are doing at the moment. They are using something which looks very much like the Google thing 15 years ago. To my mind, it still has the same flaws that we are ruining the actual artwork. That to me is the most awful thing. You can't do it. If you're doing a huge exhibition in a respected institution, we can't show the artwork in a way that the artist did not intend it to be shown. And that's like the whole only thing that should be kept in mind. And the Google distorts heavily. It's so sad that I'm not sure if they're still using it, but still some years ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, Eesti Kunstimuuseum was using Google technology, which is not good.
I have another funny question. There is a museum in Japan. Maybe I told you about this museum,
Yes, you did.
Otsuka Museum. Which is like a museum that is remade, like reproduce the history of art in ceramics. So you had sculptures, but you have paintings. You had architectures, so you could get like the Chapel 16 in scale 1, for example. So with I will not develop how they are proceeding, but it's interesting that they have the right. So it's gigantic, 30,000 square meters of exhibition spaces, of like ceramic tiles put next to each other, and but they are able to exhibit all that historic, like all these historical artworks because they are renting the rights of holding a reproduction. But like it's interesting that from their term, it's not a reproduction; it's an original, like a second original.
It's a cover.
Yes, and so here it makes me think that, in a sense, that how in terms of accessibility to this picture of this reproduction, of virtual reproduction of the exhibition, like did you already thought about condition access or accessibility, like accessibility to the exhibition? And later on, for example, when I see nowadays as well with the IA and like a mid-journey that there is people complaining, then there is some courts aspect that like how you see, not solving, but like how you see such access and the perspective of it in the future.
Of course, now with our virtual exhibitions, with all the artists that we are showing, we do contracts that we are allowed to show their work on our virtual platforms eternally. The only difference is with video works. So if we have video on display, then usually the artists don't want their video artwork to be online forever inside an exhibition. So we ask them, or we buy the license only for like a 15-second, maybe 30-second clip. And we simply show that clip in a loop, and there's a text introduction. So with the Venice Pavilion, that's a different thing. There we have the full videos because the artists agreed. They said it's good. We want we want those to be available forever. So the legal aspect is very important, that we have to have the licenses, and technologically it's developed so that it's impossible to copy the artwork. Of course you can make screenshots, we cannot stop that, but you cannot like download the videos, you cannot download the photos. It's all completely locked inside the system.
Can I again? Another question. Did you had the occasion to talk to video game developers about the project, or did you had some feedbacks from video game developers? Did you had time to meet?
I
video
have
game
started
developers?
my talks with gamers, not developers.
And what kind of feedbacks you already got about it?
There's a huge risk from one side that all the games that we put inside will be too boring, so they will be too educational only for kids. So most of the gamers that I have been talking to, they remind me that it's amazing that you're thinking about bringing art to kids, but please think about adults as well. So that's something we still need to solve. And the second, like a group that I have started my talks with are film writers, screenwriters. So, because there are very few games that have actually really good storytelling behind them. So I want to include people with really good dramaturgical writing skills. Yep. And they are excited, because most of the people who write for screen have never written anything for games. Yes.
About that, do you think there's a possibility that in the future video games can be seen on the same level academically as films, and what are the problems that are standing in front of that actually happening?
I really hope so. To my mind, the main problem is the writing, because technically and visually video games are looking amazing. Some of them look way better than films, and as it's even more and more easier to include actual real-life video footage into games and integrate it with games, then the more it should be written by good screenwriters. So eventually, when we get to the level when film screenwriters and even with some help from film directors, when the games reach that level, then I really hope they will be treated equally.
But maybe it could also happen that video games become too film-like. There's already people who are trying to tell that sort of narrative, so that there's a lot of like cutscenes and stuff like that, and not everybody feels that the game should be like that. But do you think it should be?
I think there will be, both sides will remain. My favorite game is still Pac-Man, and it will always remain like that. So the video games will turn more like into films, and if you go to the movie theater, quite many of them look like video games. So the mix will get closer and closer, but I think they will both remain.
Mm-hmm.
They will not be combined.
Okay, I have a question about what games would inspire you at the moment? Would you want to borrow from for an exhibition?
Ooh. To borrow for an exhibition.
Like borrow the game, but like some game mechanics or something like that. What game would inspire you? Like when you're thinking about the exhibition, what would you put in it?
My wildest dream, actually, I don't know how and if that would be doable, but I think it would be amazing to have a GTA inside of an art exhibition. You can actually crash the artwork. That would be quite cool. I'm quite sure that the curators would hate it because you cannot treat artwork like that, and you cannot associate it with some not so nice action. But I think it would be quite cool.
Okay, this sounds something that you can integrate AR into. So.
Could be. Sneaking around with the microphone. Yes, maybe somebody has questions.
Okay. So maybe we can stay on this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think it's nice to applaud. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How did you got unexpected info?
So at the moment we have our educational program starts from the first grade, and it's connected to the actual curriculum of the schools. So there must be games that also can be played by kids who are 7 years old. And our educational program ends with the last, when the students or the pupils are 18 and they also find their games. Treasure hunt might be exciting for the 7 years old, but not so good for the 18 years old.
But are 7-year-olds interested in contemporary art?
We are making it. We're almost there. Actually, if the 7 years olds are shown contemporary art and explained what's it all about, they're really excited. They are a very, very thankful audience for contemporary art. Of course, when we have some artwork with explicit content, then we like, oh yes, now we go to the left, to the next one. We don't show them everything, but they like it.
You use a warning or something.
Yeah. And even the kids, they love it. The teachers, they freak out.
If it's virtual, it could have like some low-key social media functions, like, I don't know, what's your favorite artwork, and like and comment buttons.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
I think if you create an app where you create, like, I don't know, like, how it is called, like, not Bitcoin, but like crypto, I don't know what, that you can, like, collectible crypto artists or crypto artworks that you hide everywhere in the exhibition. Like you create, you ask the developers to like create a rarity, ones that you cannot get, and ones that very rarely, just at certain time you pass by, and like you could get like kind of, I'm not sure if it would work as crazy as Pokemon, but definitely like this kind of things would catch the kids. They would come back just to complete the collection.
Yes. I have also thought about that there should be a game that can partially play it on the virtual platform, but inside the virtual platform games, if you want to reach the maximum level, you have to go to the actual venue, do some scanning or whatever with your phone.
Yeah, like QR codes,
Yep.
unlockables, and whatever.
Something like that.
Young people think crypto and NFTs are cringe, so I wouldn't use those.
Yep. I also have the same belief that NFTs will die out in a year, maximum 2. No, but
Well, they are dying out.
95% are worthless, apparently.
I think there will be another thing that probably because the last thing during the last run, like crypto-based video games were started to be developed, and now probably during this fall run they will be released. So I think that's the next NFTs in my mind.
Could be.
Maybe.
I have another idea.
Yes.
Like, imagine for the exhibition, like for a group, it could be even teenagers or adults, you remove every information inside the exhibition, like just the artworks. You don't know who made what, when, just like rooms with stuff inside, and that's all. And with the function, you know, now you can, from an app or from even Google photography, like you take in picture, you have to find like what's the name of the artist, or what's the title of the work. And it would be nice, you know, you have like, for example, like maybe even like kind of documents that you can fill on the mobile phone, or maybe a paper, some print sometimes, why not, as a souvenir from the experience. And like you can feel like as much information you can find, and for